Another edition of the 1004 show, number 98. We got Jake Maines of Array Digital. You remember a few weeks ago we had Jake's boss, Eric Olson, on, but now we're going to talk to the guy who actually makes the marketing happen, Jake Maines. In this episode, we talk with Jake about what you need to do to just get started. So many of us are just too afraid to even get started. And something that I really appreciate is why you should maybe get away from social media on your website and use a website more as a tool. It's episode 98. We're getting close to that 100th edition of the 1004 show, but appreciate you guys being here today. You guys can check out Jake and Array Digital at thisisarray.com or all of it in the show notes. Appreciate you guys always being here. Truly appreciate it. And if you guys like what you're seeing, feel like you should subscribe because it could be good for you. You know, to get notified like bing, another edition is available. Let's get into it. Jake Maines, Array Digital, episode 98. Take it away. Woo! What is marketing to you?
Marketing is helping companies to grow. It encompasses a lot of different tools, I would say. I mean, everything from your website to how you optimize the website. It can be print media and different like mailers, things like that. But personally, and at Array Digital, I really focus on the online stuff, building the websites and promoting them through advertisements, SEO, organic social media posts, things like that.
Is what you're doing now what you went to school for?
So I only took one class in school on online marketing, and the rest was kind of the generic marketing and management kind of classes. So it didn't really prepare me all that much for the job that I'm in now, but I did do some extracurriculars that helped out with that.
Perfect. I love it when you're self-taught. So what were some of the things that you used to teach yourself? What were some of the people that you followed maybe to kind of understand the world that you're in now?
So I had a job at the web center at ODU, and that's where I started to learn HootSuite, and that's a social media platform to schedule posts and follow your different influencers or your timeline, things like that. So that was some good experience there. And then I got on lynda.com and watched tons of videos, started implementing different things like email marketing with GetResponse and MailChimp, Google Analytics I kind of just went to Google Analytics and they have tons of videos so you could take the tests and Google AdWords tests, things like that.
Did ODU give you like a free Lynda account? Because I know a lot of schools have that.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah.
That's pretty cool. So learning online, not everyone can learn online, but obviously it sounds like you've been able to do that. Knowing that what you went to school for is not what you necessarily are doing now, and someone that is listening that is, you know, maybe thinking about a different career or thinking about ways that they can improve, what would you say to them as to kind of how to start that new learning process so that they can be doing what they want to do?
I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to kind of get involved with small businesses or startups and start implementing those skills, or even well-established companies that have internships. You can kind of get in there and just set up a HootSuite account. And that's the value of the internet, is that there's so many videos out there that are teaching you how to set things up and giving you tips and tricks on how to implement these different things. So, and self-learning is huge, especially when, I mean, you're learning kind of generic stuff at a university, and there's not too many classes. I think I did hear that since I graduated, there are a few more classes that are being offered that discuss social media and more online marketing.
I think one of the challenges with school in its current form, at least the higher education piece of it, is that the stuff that you're learning, because everything is changing so rapidly, is really far behind. And so it's really difficult to go through something like that because you're learning something that's already outdated.
Yeah, I mean,
And
every day things are changing, and I mean, I even catch myself like falling behind sometimes on the different trends. And I mean, when I'm managing my clients' accounts and things like that, it does become hard to stay ahead of the curve if you're bogged down by the day to day, and then oh wow, something new came up. I got to go back and redo all that stuff that I had just implemented yesterday because Google's algorithm changed so much. Or yeah.
well, Facebook right now, as we record this, as one thing, it's going to change tomorrow probably.
Right.
Hopefully not, because I've invested a lot of time and money into the algorithm the way that it is now. But no, I mean, I think it's so crazy because we're in a society now where you have to stay on your toes. You have to be ready for anything, and not only know the ways to use these things, but also then to be the anomaly too, to actually be able to stand out. So, what are some of the things you guys have worked with a lot of different clients? What are some of the pain points that people come to you with, saying that, hey, I really want to be able to fix this thing, but I just can't?
So really a lot of people are coming to us for website design, and we do specialize in that. But when I came along to the company, I kind of made it something that we focused on to uh, use the website as a tool, and not we need a website and then we're going to potentially move into digital marketing. The website needs to be a tool as your entire digital marketing strategy. And those websites need to be focused on converting. So some people will say, hey, I need a website just to be the face of my company online. But we really design websites so that traffic comes to the site and people are converting into leads. Because yeah, that's what marketing is really about, is generating leads.
So you said use the website as a tool. What do you mean by that? What's the tool in that case?
The website is the tool. Some people will come to us and say, hey, I need a website. Well, we want to provide a more all-encompassing online marketing strategy where the website isn't the main focal point. It's a component of, we need the website, but we also need Facebook and Google and email to drive traffic to the website to turn into leads.
So really, it becomes an asset, just like that Facebook or their email.
Yeah,
They're all
exactly.
different pieces
It's
to
more of
the.
an asset than the main focus of a client coming to us and saying, hey, my website's crap. Can you just change the website? Well, yeah, we can do that, but it takes a little more than just redoing your website to start generating a ton of traffic to it and turning into leads. There's a strategy behind that.
And I think a lot of people think that if they just get an overhaul of their website, that'll change everything. And oftentimes that's not the case. And then what I find is really important is, what do you want that website to do? In your case, you want it to be that tool, that asset for it. But what is the goal for this website? If you don't even have that first goal, I think it's really difficult to even understand why you have that website.
Absolutely.
What are some of the goals that you guys help your clients figure out, kind of on that onboard process or ongoing process?
So, I mean, basically the main goal is to generate leads or calls. So with some of our HVAC clients, we're seeing that we have a few lead forms on the site, and your intention could be, okay, we want to drive traffic and then get them to fill out a form. Well, people that are requesting service for their heating system or air conditioning, they're not going to sit there and fill out a form. They're going to pick up the phone. So we started implementing call tracking to determine how long people are getting on the phone, where they're coming from, things like that. So it's really the website. Some people want the website just as a face of their company, but that's what we've been getting in the habit of doing, is saying, well, we want the website to generate form submissions or calls, or is it just to kind of display your portfolio on there, things like that.
How does that conversation go with someone? So they come to you and say, hey, I want this to do what you just said, but as the expert that that's not a good route to go by, and they're going to continue to get crappy results basically. So how do you then have that conversation with them to say, hey, you know what, you're hiring us to fix your problems. Let us actually be the experts.
Well, lately it seems like people are already coming to us and saying, "You guys are the experts, and we're just going to go with what you think." We've seen some of the websites you've designed recently, and they look great. We know we're not getting enough leads, so can you redo our website and then start to drive traffic there? And we've been producing some pretty nice websites and then getting some great results. Actually, the one website that we did recently for a local HVAC client, they had 3 online leads in January of 2017, and then I think it was around 30 in January 2018. So just from a website overhaul and kind of optimizing where those phone numbers are placed, where the forms are placed, and then starting to drive some additional traffic there, it really makes a difference.
How important is the look and feel of a site, or is that an overrated piece?
It's not as overrated as you might think. I mean, if you go to a site, and that's kind of a big selling point. If I find a site, I've called up sites and I'm like, "Hey, I'm on your site trying to buy so and so product, and I just wanted to let you know it's kind of tough to navigate around and make this purchase. So I'd love to talk to you about how we can help." I mean, it hasn't worked yet because they're like, "Oh, this guy's just trying to sell me something." But really, like, I was on Crayola's website trying to buy something for my sister, and it wasn't functioning well. And I was like, "Hey guys, like, this could be improved. Can I help out?" So,
But they didn't budge.
no, they didn't budge.
I respect the hustle, though. I respect the trying. You know, I think if you keep doing that and maybe even figuring out a strategy around it where you're not necessarily selling it first, you are just saying, "Hey, your experience is really poor. I just wanted to let you know. You know that might be a good first step. You know, in there without the sale in there." When a customer comes to you and they understand now that you're the expert and they let them overhaul, how do you kind of start getting into what tools that they should or shouldn't use, and what's the risk associated with different tools with different kind of industries?
So our focus right now is B2C and provide companies that are providing services. So our strategy is pretty similar. We do have a few HVAC clients. I know I've mentioned that a few times, that HVAC is our target right now, just because they have a great co-op program where they're paying 50% of these new websites and online marketing. So companies are more likely to take advantage of that. So I'm implementing a lot of the same tools. I mean, you do AdWords, and then we can drive traffic through specific keywords. And then if they've come to the website and decided not to purchase, we can do some Facebook retargeting. So as soon as they leave the website, they're starting to see some ads from that company. We'll do some organic Facebook posts. And then we've also implemented some email campaigns. But you got to make sure those are very segmented. So if a person has shown that they're interested in this, or they're a past customer, you show them a certain email, or if they haven't ever purchased from you, show them a different type of email.
Content is king, they say. I probably say that too. But a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, would you call that content or ads?
I would call it content is king. Yes. It starts with content. So we sit down with these clients, and our focus is on a lot of the frequently asked questions. I'm sure Eric has talked to you about the book, They Ask, You Answer. So these potential customers that are coming to our clients are asking questions. They do it to us. Potential customers will ask, how much does a website cost, or how much does a mobile app cost? And we turn that into a blog post and we push that out, because the same people that are asking you the question, they're probably searching on Google, how much does a website cost, or how much does a mobile app cost? And then we end up ranking for that keyword, and then we can drive traffic to our site. They see other blog posts. We can repurpose that content through video, through emails, through advertisements that maybe for other keywords that are related, and then it's all based on content, but you're driving traffic from all these different sources.
I call this the FAQ strategy, where it's like the frequently asked questions, like what are the questions that you continue to get over and over again. It's
Right.
one of the reasons why I decided to write Anomaly, because basically I was getting asked the same question a couple of different ways, tens of thousands of times. And I'm like, this clearly is getting good results. People are consuming the content. Some of them are converting into actual customers from that. But there's not a place where it's all kind of a deep dive into all of it into one bound book, basically. And so I agree. I think whatever the questions that people are coming to you with, push that out to people, because everyone's going to be asking the same questions. So what are some of the top questions that you guys get?
Well, the two that I mentioned, and then like how does SEO work? How to create a blog? The best social media platforms for my business, which I actually wrote that article, and you can find that on our website. That's a pretty good one.
We'll link all these in the show notes. So if someone is thinking that strategy is stupid, because why would I tell everyone my secret sauce? Because I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of with content. Well, I can't tell someone something. What's your response to that?
I mean, if they can do it themselves, then I'm not a great fit for them. If you can go out and build a mobile app, then you don't need to know. I mean, you can read my article and you can do it yourself, but we're the experts, and we want to provide you with the information just so you know about what you need to know. I mean, it's simple as that. And if they can't handle doing it themselves, then they'll come back to us and they'll say, "Oh, well, I read that article on the best social media platforms, and I'm really struggling with implementing this stuff with Facebook." Well, let me go back to the expert that I read that article from.
Yeah, that's good, because if you think about it, you're providing them value, you're helping them, you're educating them on how to do something, and then they could do one of two things, like go figure out how to do that, and then maybe share your article because you helped them, or they try it and realize, oh, this isn't working.
Right.
I love that. So you talked about HootSuite. Is that like one of your favorite tools to use?
Yeah, you can schedule posts for months in advance. I typically only like to do about 2 weeks in advance, though, just so you can kind of every 2 weeks you can post a few posts, and then you come back and you can look at the past. You can look at some of the analytics and see how did they do. Should I continue using this type of post, or this one performed really well? Let me do something similar going forward. And then you can have those feeds with your timeline in Twitter or Facebook, and do some engagement there with influencers. You can import your Twitter lists in there, and if you have a list of the top digital marketers, you can see a ton of great articles all at once.
How do you do that?
So you can create a list on Twitter.
Okay.
Have you done that before? You go into.
So assume that everyone that's listening has no idea, right?
Okay. So I guess you go up into the settings, and there's a tab with My Lists, and you can create a list.
Okay. And what is a list to start? Like what?
It's basically compiles. So when you follow a ton of people on Twitter, your feed gets bogged down with just a ton of random stuff. But if some of those people that you're following, you want to single out and see just their recent posts, you can add them to a list, and you could say, okay, I want to have a list of the top web design trends or the top digital marketing trends, add a few people to those lists, and then you can either make it private or public. And there's also lists out there that have these top influencers that you can go follow a list and get great content just in a single feed there.
So instead of just having let's say I follow 10,000 people. Instead of having to scroll through 10,000 people, I can go to a segmented place where it's just the content that I want. Kind of like a hashtag, but specifically on what
exactly.
you're doing. That makes sense. I think that's a pretty good hack. What are some other hacks that you use to be seen or be the anomaly?
So, I mean, retargeting I guess isn't necessarily a hack, but it is one of my new favorite things that I've been implementing for a lot of my clients. So you can take your segmented down email list and you can use that to send out an email, but most of the time you get about 30% open rate. I mean, that's still high. So, and then of those 30% that open, you're getting a pretty low click-through rate unless you have something super compelling. Instead of emailing all of those people, we can import that email list into a Facebook advertising campaign and set up specific ads. So if they've been a past client of yours, you can set up an ad that is saying, "Hey, come back. We've got this special offer." Or if they filled out a form on your site, but they never ended up coming in for an appointment, you can say, "Hey, we've got this $100 off for new patients or new clients," or something like that. So
Is retargeting what happens when I go on Amazon, search for something, and then I see it again somewhere else?
yeah, it happened to me this morning. I searched for dog food on Google, and then I see on my Facebook, I was like, "Oh, well, I like that." Some people hate it. They're like, "Wow, they're everywhere." But as a marketer, when you show me a great ad and I've shown interest in your product, I'm like, "Good job. That's sweet."
So, what is your thoughts on people copying kind of styles that people are doing? Not necessarily the actual copy or the image or anything like that, but saying, okay, this retargeting thing works for Amazon. You know, they get them on that page, but Amazon realizes that not everyone is in the buying mode or whatever business it is. And so then you take that image and you put it somewhere else, understanding and kind of dissecting a strategy or a campaign that people are doing. Do you think that other businesses or people that are listening that are saying, I just want to be seen, do you think they should start implementing what other people are kind of doing?
Absolutely. If something works and it's in a similar type of business or you're targeting similar types of people, consumers, I mean, I'm using similar strategies across the board for these clients because I've seen that it works. So I'm going to use it again and make sure that each of my clients are successful. So I I love to, I mean, take something and be able to replicate it if it works. And oftentimes I'm finding these techniques through some of the industry leaders and things that I'm seeing online, and then I just use it across the board. And for the people listening, absolutely use the things that we're talking about because they do work. And if they can help you to grow your business, then that's why we're both here, is to help companies grow their businesses.
Exactly. Headlines. How important is like a headline or a subject line in an email, like, and how do you start crafting those to be, openable, clickable, wantable?
Very important, and there's definitely an art to it. When it comes to blog posts, it's got to be, one, compelling, and two, it has to be kind of incorporating that keyword strategy in there. So while we talked about the idea of the FAQ strategy, you want to be sure that you're doing some research and putting some thought behind that frequently asked question. So the way that the question is phrased, so if you're saying, I don't know, how much does, so for example, how much does a website cost? I used that phrase, but I did a lot of keyword research behind it to make sure that the way that it was phrased was going to be providing search results and people were actually searching on that keyword.
Meaning you try to figure out what people are already searching and you try to create a title or a headline that matches that? Is that?
That's similar, that actually has search volume behind it. So if the FAQ that you came up with and you just started writing a blog post about it, well, that could be great, but you want to incorporate a keyword strategy so that you're not optimizing for something that hundreds of other people have already written about and you have no chance of coming up in Google search for, but then also a keyword that, yeah, people are actually searching on.
Cool. So what's a keyword strategy? And then You talked about making sure that you're not doing something that hundreds of people are already doing. How do you understand who's doing that strategy or not?
So it's not necessarily I guess I'll go with the second question first. It's not necessarily the strategy that other people are doing. I mean, like I said, if somebody's already using that strategy, like how to optimize their page and get backlinks and um, how to create these blog posts, then you can replicate their strategy. But if you take that frequently asked question, type it into Google, and if there's every page is loaded up with blogs about that question, then it's probably not a good question. You're unlikely to rank for that one, um, unless you're
Using that headline and keyword
yes
search, or don't do that topic at all.
using that headline and search. Yeah,
So
you could
still
you
write
may
the
be able to
story.
alter the headline, and then so if you find that you've altered the headline and there's not a ton of blog posts about it, you take that same headline and you can use there's a variety of different SEO tools out there that you can plug that in and see, okay, Google says that this many people are searching on that per month. Well, then it's worth me writing about, because if I rank first, then I get this much traffic to my site.
How many keywords should a blogger, a business, a personality, whoever, a brand be trying to win? Like, is it just one associated with the name? Is it two? Like, how does someone understand how many keywords they need?
So typically I'm trying to rank one page for about one keyword, and it could be short tail keyword or a longer tail keyword. So like a longer phrase or just a couple words. And then your blog can contain as much content as you want. You want it to be kind of somewhat focused on a specific topic. So you don't want to be talking about dog food and websites, because then you're not kind of following this topic or focus, and it's less likely that you'll rank. But if you have a ton of traffic that is focused on your main topics there, then you start to rank up in Google. And yeah.
How do you know if you put your keyword in there enough, and then how do you know if you're ranking higher on Google?
Well, there's a lot of analytics behind it, so we can measure where you're ranking from the start, which would be non-existent, and then if you um, come up in rank, then you may be ranked 15th, and then you keep an eye on it. If it starts to move up, then great. You start to add backlinks and adjust the content, implement any new techniques that you've heard about. Um, so if it starts to continue to go up, then great. But if not, then we have to re-optimize and make sure that our strategy is lined up.
What's your favorite thing to write about? What's your kind of favorite strategy to do?
Um, I like writing about SEO and definitely the basics. I find that there's a bigger audience out there, and I could write about very complex, like specific things, but I like people to read my articles. And so I wrote one about how SEO works, and it's been one of our most popular articles at Array. And it's just kind of the basics, some different things to implement and to get you started. So that was kind of a fun one to talk about.
So how does it work?
Well, I mean, it's that article focused on the different Google tools. So implementing Google Analytics, Google Webmaster Tools, and then Google My Business. So that local business listing is very important, and gaining reviews on Google is also super important, which, yeah, responding to those reviews. Eric and I were actually talking yesterday about how much customer service is a spectator sport. So these reviews, if you get a negative review, you need to respond to it, but you want to make sure that you're not joining in on the argument and you just want to make sure that you say, we understand your issue and you can contact us here, because all of these other people that are coming to see that profile, they'll be, well, why are they arguing back and forth there? It looks like, oh, they just cleared up the issue. And I mean, everyone can spectate on that kind of situation.
But only so many people actually comment. Usually it's the lovers and the haters on kind of the social reviews.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's, I tell people this all the time, and I've seen some clients that have gone down the rabbit hole of bickering back and forth the person. And I'm like, stop. Just basically what I would say is, if someone is complaining about, your restaurant or your business or something, address that you're sorry and then take it offline and contact them there, so that people can say, hey, I'm addressing this. I'm saying, oh my God, we're so sorry. We want to make this right. And then take it offline, because if you get this back and forth, and I've seen people that I've been customers with, and I never would believe that what that review says is about them, but it's what someone's interpretation was. And then when you have like 50 back and forths with and the best is when they have screenshots of text messages of communication. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this there? And then I reach out to my clients and I say, why did you do that? And they were like, yeah, I wish I didn't do that. I'm like, it looks terrible because it's the first thing that pops up now, because it's got the most views. It's what Yelp wants you to see or Facebook wants you to see, because it's got engagement, but it's not what you want them to do. And I like that the spectator sport, I think from a social perspective, it's social, right? So whether or not it's a review or a like or a share, whoever owns that page or is running that page or a brand or whatever, it's their responsibility, or who they hire to do it, to respond. And I can't stand when someone does something and you don't respond back. So when you do a Facebook Live or a post or whatever, engage with people. They're doing exactly what you want them to do. Why would you not return the favor? It's basically going, hey, Jake, give me a high five, and then you not giving me a high five.
Right.
Stupid. My rant is over.
On that point, though, if someone makes a negative review, how would you tell that client of yours and the client thinks that they're right, and that negative review shouldn't have happened because the client's just kind of making it up, and you want the client to say, hey, we're sorry, we understand your issue, but in reality the client isn't sorry and they don't understand the issue. Should they still say, we're sorry, and everyone in the world can see on the internet that they apologize for something they didn't do?
Yeah, it depends on what the sorry is for, right? And so if it was a bad meal, and you don't have to necessarily apologize. It could just be, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We want to make this better. That's not necessarily saying sorry or something like that. I think one thing that customer reputation needs to be more thought about is that no place is loved by 100% of the people, right? So usually you're going to have a couple of 1, 2, 3s, and 4 stars, and not all 5s, right? It's likely you're going to have that, but understand why and publicly address it, whether it's a sorry or not. I mean, I don't know. In some of the cases I've seen is I think things being killed, or things being ruined. And so, people are really emotional about the things that they own. And there weren't humans being killed. I think it was animals, or got really sick or something like that, and they didn't take attention to it. But it's try and make it better, right? And I don't know if it's a public apology is what you should do in every case, but I definitely think you need to address it so it doesn't look like you just look like an idiot that hasn't responded.
Right. Sounds good.
Yeah. What's something that most people don't know about kind of the world of the web that you think that they should?
One interesting thing is a lot of people like to have their social media links on their website. And I personally think, and others at Array, we've started to stray away from adding those links very prominently on your site, because the goal of social media is to drive traffic to your website and get people on your website to convert into leads. And by having those links, you're potentially driving people back to social media, and you could be losing out on them filling out a form, which is what you want them to do, or picking up the phone.
Really good. That's really solid, actually. On that same point, a lot of social media is not necessarily indexed the same way that search engines are, right? I call it repeatable, searchable content. So I do a great Facebook Live video and I talk for 4 hours. And then basically, unless I'm scroll heavy, no one is ever going to find that again. Because even though all the content in there is amazing and it got a ton of engagement, the search engine doesn't understand that. And so people create this great campaign, but then it doesn't do what you want it to do for the long run. So what would you tell someone to do to try and be more indexed or have, searchable, repeatable content when they're trying to build this social campaign that might do well, but is only seen when basically during that time when it's actually being pushed?
So unfortunately, we're having to push more towards paid advertising on social media. But then again, that's where the retargeting comes in, because you can target people that are potentially going to be more engaged with your business than just generic, like demographic based filtering.